welcome to a special called meeting of the Mayor and City Council of the City of College Park. I'm Mayor Bianca Motley Broom. We have a quorum present with council members Clay, Karn, and Allen, so I will call the meeting to order at this time at 8:01 a.m. The first item on the agenda is a motion to amend and approve lease number GS-04B-30123 regarding a lease term renewal period, annual lease rate, floor coverings and perimeters, heating and air, and janitorial services for the Federal Aviation Administration Building located at 1701 Columbia Avenue. I believe Mr. Wall is here to give us a presentation. I would ask to make sure that everyone has their phones either off or muted. Thank you.
Good morning, Mayor. Thank you very much. In 1992, Mayor and Council of College Park borrowed some money, and I had a presentation that was sent to you with Miss Althea Lord Bradley's email, and it was $27,845,000. And the whole idea back in '92 was that the city would build a building, 253,000 square feet, and get 1,800 jobs, and lease the building to the FAA for cost. And when the FAA, through the GSA, Government Services Administration, bid out the project, College Park wanted to have the lowest per square foot rent rate so it could beat out other areas and other private landlords who needed to make a profit. And College Park won. And so in 1992, 1,800 jobs moved over here at the FAA building, and we were leasing the building to them at cost. We'd worked out a transaction for the last 30 years with the FAA that anytime capital improvements needed to be done, they would pay for it one of two ways. One is they'd raise the per square foot rent over our cost, and they'd do 10-year lease increments. We'd go to the bank and borrow money and do whatever improvements, and we'd pay it off over 10 years with that extra per square foot rent. The second way they'd do it is we would do the improvements and they'd cut us a check when the improvements are done. Every 10 years there's been a renewal of the lease, and you all were presented with a renewal option back in August, I think it was sent to Ms. Lord Bradley to renew that lease for another 10 years from 23 to 33. The lease that you signed back in 2013 was a 20-year lease, but for some reason the way the federal government does it is it comes up every 10 years. When the FAA presented us numbers for this renewal, it was all boogered up. It wasn't, that's a technical term. And the lease rate just wasn't right. And they had dropped it from $3.1 million, $3.177 million to $1,690,000. And Mr. Hawthorne put Miss Bradley and me and a new employee y'all have, Brecca. Is she here in the audience? Hey, how you doing? Did I get the name right? Yeah, almost. And Ron Wilkerson, who's with Colliers, who's been your landlord. He's been the guy who's handled the business for you for the whole 30 years. We went to work to try to talk the FAA and appeal to their sense of fair play to give us a better deal. What you have before you this morning is a rent rate of $3,177,000. It's going to be indexed to consumer price index, indexed inflation. It's a 10-year lease. They had asked us to do all of carpet and paint for the entire building, which would have cost $2.9 million, but they were unwilling to give us the money to pay it back. The two ways I told you was that they raise the right price per square foot or they give us a check. They were unwilling to do that. You all at your last meeting approved lease number 52, I think it was, that they're going to put the railroad administration in some vacant space over there, and they wanted $216,000 worth of improvements, and they did in fact do that piece the way they always have done it. You spend the $216,000, fix up the space, and then they pay you back. You're a landlord on two buildings over there. There's a small building of about 12,000 square feet and a bigger one, 253,000. The place is debt free. You owe no money on it. They're offering you about $12 per square foot in rent. We, the team, went back to them in negotiations and said that the lease since they were holding our feet to the lease says that we could have the temperature at 80 degrees in the summertime and 65 degrees in the wintertime. And years ago, they came to us and asked us to make the temperature better so that they were cooler in the summer and warmer in the winter. And so I went back to Mr. Wilkerson, and the electric bill on that building is $600,000 a year. And so if we went to what was in the lease at those temperatures, we could save $300,000 a year in electricity. So I went back to him and I said, okay, we'll do the carpet and the paint for $2.9 million, even though nobody says it's bad shape, no needs to do it. We'll do it, but we're going to raise the temperature levels back up to 80 and lower it back down to 65 in the wintertime. And that $300,000 a year savings times 10 years is $3 million, and that's how we pay for the carpet and paint. And the fellow said, I'll pay you back. And I always want you to know, in negotiating with them, it's been a very difficult thing. I mean, they mostly dictate. And the lease that we signed in '92 and that was renegotiated in 2013 is mostly one-sided. But we are, and this is the kind of thing y'all hate, we're somewhat obligated to continue this lease. And the reason you're having a special call meeting this morning is the federal government's fiscal year is September 30th, and they have to have a lease before the 30th. And we, the staff, have drug it out this long to where it's just 3 days from the 30th, trying to get the best deal we could. And so they came back to us and they agreed to not make us spend the $2.9 million for carpet and paint if we would agree to keep the temperature as what we've always agreed. So we said okay. So the only thing left is Ron Wilkerson has identified about $1,600,000 of improvements that might need to get done in the next 10 years for elevators, HVAC, that sort of thing. I was unable to get the GSA to commit that they would pay us back one of those two ways. So I said, what happens if we just don't do it? And he says, well, if one of us inspects the place and we really, really require it to get done, we order you to do it. And if you don't do it, then we'll go do it at our own expense and just reduce your rent by fiat and pay ourselves back. And so something for you all to know is that the average rent rate in the office market in your area is $25 a foot. You're renting it to them at $12 a foot. And that's okay. That was a deal we cut way back in '92. We've got 1,800 jobs. This rent rate that we're getting allows us to transfer $1.1 million a year to the general fund to offset the police and fire and all the services that you do. That's what they're paying for all those services to 1,800 jobs into that building, because since you own the building, it didn't pay any property taxes. And so I would like, and all the staff would like to recommend to you that you approve this lease this morning, even though it's not as perfect as we would like, but it's better than it started off at.
Thank you, sir. Questions? Councilman Clay?
Well, we've been working over the last several days. I've been dialoguing with these guys and asking questions and making minor corrections. So I'm generally good with everything except nobody has answered the question if the elevators need to be repaired or replaced and they say, sorry, Charlie, you're going to do that. I haven't gotten that answer to the question of how much that is going to cost.
$1.6 million. No, oh, yes, sir. Please. He knows better than I do. Ron, please.
The elevator situation. In 2 weeks, you've already gave me authorization to do phase 2. The reason we're doing phase 2 is it was a Dover elevator, and they don't make them anymore. Our backs was to the wall. We had to do this. That's about $303,000 for 2. The other ones in phase 1, there's 6 of them, and they don't need this modernization like phase 2 does. They need to be updated about fire and some of those kind of things, being quicker and all that. That's gonna be $275,000. But we can buy parts for the one in phase one all day long. For the next 10 years, no problem that I see. Phase two is gonna be perfect. I mean, we're gonna have a brand new elevator. So the elevator question, I wouldn't, it's not a big deal as far as I'm concerned.
So the maximum cost, if I've been doing the math, is about $800,000?
No, it's $303,000 that we've already got money for.
We've already got that money.
Yeah, it's $275,000. Everything goes away. I'm gonna put it in next year's budget, and that'll take care of those 6 for the next 10 years.
Okay, so we're good for 10 years by spending $275,000.
That's correct.
And then, if and when we do spend that, I guess it's a done deal, we are going to spend it, then are we still transferring $1 million into the general fund, or is that first year, she's nodding yes, Althea?
Yes, sir, we are. So I put the numbers in my presentation that Ms. Bradley sent to y'all yesterday, but the rent rate of $3,177,000 allows us to pay all the operating costs. It allows us to transfer the $1.1 million to the general fund, and it's about $270,000 a year in capital improvements. And so
The elevators could be covered out of that.
Yes.
And we just upgraded the chillers,
Yes, right.
so are we anticipating any other big expense? Or was there a chiller left? I can't remember, but we've got about 4 of them over there?
Yeah, not really. The major things that we're doing this year, we're doing 2 Libra units, and that's very important, but there's.
Right, yeah, I know what a Libre is.
Yeah, and we're doing those 2, so that I can sleep a little bit better. But we need one more, and we'll put that in the budget, because they have to rotate. Otherwise, we'll just wear them
Right,
out.
yeah, I know.
And just to go through my list real quick, I talked about the elevators. And a lot of it's just like miscellaneous stuff, maintenance items that we're going to have, like motors and.
Okay, so
things like
you're
that.
not anticipating any, well, you got one more Libre unit to do, right?
We have one more Libra unit.
And how much is that? 100 and
That's
something?
195,000.
195, okay, that's why I thought it was getting up around
Yeah.
200.
Right.
Okay, so the Libre unit, we can still cover that in the maintenance that you
Right.
planned for.
But I don't want to leave here with the misunderstanding that what I gave here in this list is our best shot. I think we got a really good shot at it, but we have to do an extremely good job of doing preventative maintenance. And as you recall, over the years, every time I came up here, we've outdone what the equipment life is
Right,
every time.
Right,
And I suspect that's what's going to happen as we travel through the next 10 years. But I can't guarantee, I'm not a soothsayer.
no, I know.
I'm going to do my very best to keep it, I know what we're up against, to keep it,
But if we do the preventive maintenance like we should,
yes.
then
We
you're
should
not
be fine.
anticipating any
No.
huge expenses.
No, not really at all.
Okay, so it looks like basically what you're saying is that as much as you can anticipate with no big surprises, there shouldn't be any big surprises, that we'll be able to transfer $1 million into the general fund every year
Yes.
for
Absolutely.
the next 10 years.
Yes.
So that's a good deal.
Yes.
And you guys, we've been dialoguing back and forth, but those special provisions, I looked at them, I didn't think that TikTok was going to be an issue, for example, because they weren't going to have that on the platform, and that's answered. And I believe, I thought I saw Mr. Hicks earlier, but I don't see him now.
No, he's not.
He was here
He was here this
earlier.
morning.
He went back to his office.
We don't put in the infrastructure in
No.
there for IT.
No,
So, I mean,
no.
that isn't
So
our
now-
responsibility. We don't need to worry about some
That's right.
secret bug in the, I don't know, the router or the
Yeah.
switch or what have you.
That's exactly right.
So those aren't issues. Neither of those extra, what do you call them, paragraphs or whatever, addenda in there. That's not an issue. It looks like it's solid.
It is, I mean, from where I'm standing, we're good. If it was
Yeah,
any other way,
I can't find anything wrong with it.
But there's nothing wrong with that. I
Okay.
mean, they have their own people that do all that secret stuff.
Yeah.
We watch them, they have to go through our code.
I know, I'm very familiar with secret stuff.
And so, that's pretty much it, you know?
Okay,
We'll be fine.
So Councilman Clay, I want to put it in perspective too. So you got one building at 253,000 square feet and another one at 12. So that's 270,000 square feet. At $200 a square foot, which an office building probably costs more than that, that's about a $60 million building that you got over there. It only cost you 20 some odd million, 20,
27,
what did I say?
28 really.
$28 million to build it. And so it ought to be renting at $25 a foot. And so
and we're renting it at what?
12.
12.
So you're renting it at $3 million and should be renting it at $6 million. And so when this lease is up in 2033, I mean, I promise you, they say federal government wastes money, but I can tell you that GSA crowd is not wasting any money. They were rough to deal with.
Yeah.
And if, good Lord willing, I'm still around 10 years from now, y'all turn me loose, we're going to get a better deal.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Okay, I'm good.
Councilman Carn?
All right, sounds like good news overall. And Ron, it's good to see you. I missed you last time. They said you were out of town. I had a couple of questions for you, a couple for Althea and Ed. Okay, so this AC, we're sticking with the 80 and 65 with the temperature, right?
Let's say, yes.
Okay, and that saves us $300,000?
No,
No,
we're not.
we're reversing that.
So they're asking, because we use it as a tool to make them eliminate $3 million in carpet and paint.
Right.
They took that out of the lease. One of the conditions of this new lease is that we'll keep the temperature at what you've been keeping it, which costs us $600,000 a year.
So that wasn't 80 and 65. That was another temperature set.
No, so 80 and 65 are in the lease is the minimum and maximum that we
Okay.
have
We're not
to
gonna
do.
do that, Joe.
We're not going to do that.
And we're not gonna go to those temperatures, and we haven't been.
Okay.
But when they were forcing us to come out of our pocket for $3 million worth of stuff, a way we could pay for it was go to the 80 and 65.
All right. Okay, so
And
we
they
know.
didn't want that.
So we're no longer doing that in exchange for you guys handling for the 10. I get it. So y'all are willing to give us the reimbursement, essentially the 1.6.
No, so the 1.6, if we have to do it, you're gonna come off the hip for it, unless we can appeal to their sense of fair play that you've never done it that way.
Well, I mean, I think y'all know y'all got one of the best deals in history, probably. It goes without saying. The 1,800 people. Now, I know that building wasn't full. There aren't actually 1,800 people in there, are there?
As of October the 19th is mandated by Washington. Everybody has to come back. So
Okay.
we've got probably,
Mr. Wilkinson, can
Yeah.
you go to the microphone?
to the mic.
Thank you.
we've got probably 75% at this point. But
Okay.
October, we're all gearing up for the whole group. And there'll be about 1,800 people there.
Okay, so a couple of questions here. You mentioned the GSA partners are going to be coming. You know, I know the railroad group is coming in.
Right.
You mentioned Social Security, you mentioned IRS potentially. Are they coming in? Have any of those come in? Because you're going to fill up completely.
No, and normally I'm brought in on all those meetings. The only one that I know about is this railroad deal, and it's not really a big deal. It's only like 1,500 square feet, and for what they're gonna do, it's gonna be nice. I mean, it's gonna complement the building, but they haven't brought anything else to me. But I do think they will as time goes on.
Well, do you have capacity for more than that? If
Oh,
you're
yeah.
going to be at if you're going to be at 1,800, that's the max, or can you squeeze more in? Or?
We have 1,800 people, but a lot of those people travel.
Okay.
They have places where they come in, they travel, so there is room available. But after October the 19th, it'll be over with. I mean, that's about, they'll be able to get a few more, but not much more.
Okay. So the rail folks, are they? I know they were in the Sam Nunn building. Are they moving from there, or are they still going to be there as well?
I can't speak to that. I don't know where those people come from.
Okay.
Except they seem like pretty nice
Okay, all right, let's see. A couple of questions I did have, and congratulations, I heard last night you got your authorization, right?
Oh, for my,
With the Senate, apparently passed your, yeah.
Shut down.
39,
Oh, no.
3935, your bill. But,
yeah.
Yeah,
That's good.
our two senators said, voted yes on that, which is a good thing.
Absolutely, that's an amen.
Okay, so with the expansion, is this gonna increase our operating expenses? Because I see your 10-year deal, and I saw the 2 Libra units, but now you're saying we're gonna need 3 Libra units. Is that what I heard, or did I hear
Yeah,
that? I
no,
heard
you heard
in.
that right. But originally, that's what was in there, 3. And so all we're doing is replacing 30-year-old equipment. And the first shot, which was a smart move, is to get 2 of them, and then we've only got 1 more. This one that's left, it's limping, and next year it'll survive until we get ready, but they rotate,
Gotcha.
and
Well,
that's very important.
okay, well, I mean, our list has the 2, so this 4.6 number, this is gonna increase, obviously, because you're gonna need 3 of those for starters. So this is subject to change, this capital requirements list.
The 3 million goes away as far as the carpet replacement. So we're only left with 1.6 million. That was part of the deal.
So this 4.6 number is, some of this is already taken care of.
Already taken care of.
Okay, all right, that's good to know. So operating expenses, I'm assuming they'll go up with the expansion a bit? No?
That was one of the considerations,
Okay,
and,
And it's not an expansion, it's just taking existing space
Yeah.
and they're converting it
and
for the
convert,
railroad.
okay.
the same functions that I did with FAA is the same functions I do with the railroad.
I got you. So no increases in that sense. Okay, so we get this done today. Now, I saw on the last agreements that the BIDA chair signs off on these agreements.
So BIDA doesn't have anything to do with it anymore. Title
Okay.
transferred from BIDA to you
Okay,
when the last debt was refinanced and done away with it. So
okay,
it's just you. It used to be BIDA and you, because, we sold those bonds in 92.
right.
And BIDA owned the property, but when that debt got paid off, the title by operation of all your documents transferred back to the city.
Okay, so we can skip that step. All right, good deal. I still want to set up that tour with you, so I'll give you a call. And
We'll set it up.
okay, all right.
Councilman Allen?
Okay, I just had a couple of questions. The railroad, they're gonna be in one location, is that right?
That's correct.
And you have plenty of room for that with it?
Yes, sir.
And the number of people they'll be bringing in is basically gonna be a wash with the people that are
Exactly.
traveling, or?
Exactly.
Okay. And the last question that I have is, in 10 years, and probably for you, Ed, what happens in 10 years when this lease is up? Do they have,
Yes,
can they renew, or is that based on theirs or us, or does the building come back to us? What happens in?
Completely up to you. That lease is gone in 2033. And so you can lease it to them, you can put it on the market anywhere else. There's no reason not to lease it to them, but I think $12 a foot's out the door. Whatever the market is in 2033, that's what you ought to get.
And I know it's gonna go up, but ballpark, how much money would that bring into the city?
So, the rent, office rent around the Beltline is $50 a square foot, and Buckhead is like 45. So let's say 10 years from now, we can get $40 a foot. That'd be $10 million instead of $3 million.
I like those numbers. Okay,
The
no,
only thing I can add with that is that FAA did a survey. FAA did a survey, and they wanted to know, with all their people out there in 11 states, what do you think about the Southern Regional Office? And we got tremendous high marks for location, number 1. Number 2, cleanliness. And then the other question was, would you be willing to stay there? And unanimous. I mean, they loved it. I think our shot, they have to, by law, go out and get 2 others, proposals. But I think we got an excellent shot because of our location.
okay,
I really do.
that's all the questions I have.
Yeah, I had one other. So you all want to stay there for 10 years on out, and when the next 10 comes up.
Good Lord's willing.
Now, Perlis and O'Hara, everybody, are they still there?
Yeah, but I think their term's getting
He's leaving. So what Perlis would be next, logically speaking, right?
Right.
Okay. All right. That's good to know.
Mr. Hawthorne?
Mayor, I just wanted to offer some comments while Ron is up. And I want to make sure that we understand Ron's role. Ron isn't with the federal government. Ron is with us.
So I manage.
We contract out. But, you know, I've had a tour of that building. And probably at the time that I had the tour, I didn't understand. I didn't know that we owned the building. But it's the city's building. But I was most impressed. Immaculately kept. I mean, Ron's attention to detail and care. I mean, true what you call facilities maintenance. But I will tell you, and I'm making a plug, it's a tale of two cities. Because we've got a number of other facilities that we own, including City Hall. And the very fact that across the street, and there's a difference in the maintenance of these buildings, that we don't even have a facilities maintenance function for our other city facilities, what I consider to be our neighbors, the people's buildings, particularly City Hall. And so we're going to be coming at you, starting with the first quarter, that we need to address that. I mean, when people come into City Hall, it should be a space to be proud. They don't get to go into the FAA. There are restrictions. But that's a city facility that we should be proud because of the way that it's maintained. And if we can do it for the standards of the General Services Administration, the federal government, our standards should be at least equally high.
Agreed, Mr. Hawthorne, but we do want to, I want to make sure if there are any questions, any further questions on this particular item. Hearing none, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Councilman
Second.
Allen. Councilman Allen's made the motion to approve. Second from Councilman Clay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. Unanimous amongst those present. The next item on the agenda.
One last thing, Mayor, y'all approved it, subject to any Scribner's errors that the city attorney needs. So,
Yeah, that's included in
so
the motion.
great. So
All right.
they're gonna scrub it and then bring it to y'all to sign, but don't leave town before you sign it, Mayor. Please, ma'am.
We're not asking for this one to come back with another meeting. The mayor is just going to sign it because you're just going to make minor modifications to it.
It may not make any.
Yeah, you may not I went through that thing. You guys answered my questions. You're putting in everything that's supposed to be in there as far as I can see. I'm good.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. The next item on the agenda is a motion to approve a special event permit for the 7th Annual Prostate Cancer Awareness and Children's Health Fair to be held on September 30th, 2023.
All right.
Yes, sir. Good morning. Questions for the applicant, Councilman Clay?
No, I'm good. It was just the time frame. We needed to review the stuff, and I expect you're going to have this next year. I won't be here next year, but please get it in early.
We're gonna make sure we do it
Okay.
right after this one.
You're doing a good thing, and we want to approve it, but we have to review it.
Yeah, that's.
And I understand the insurance has been straightened out, so I'm good.
Councilman Carn?
All right, we spoke briefly, and so we got everything squared away. Just have it in on time and keep going. Yeah.
Councilman Allen?
I'm just thankful that all this can get worked out and meet your time frame goals and everything else. So this is good. I'm totally in favor of it.
You're a cyclist, aren't you?
Yes.
You gonna ride?
Hey, I
Why
might
don't you
do
ride?
that. Okay.
All right, all right.
You right?
No, hold on. We're getting through the business here. I appreciate it, though. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Councilman Carn. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Allen. All those in favor?
Aye.
That is unanimous amongst those present. Having no other business, we are adjourned at 8:31.
One question. How do I get in touch with the chief of police so that we
I'll
get the
contact you.
Staff can help you with that. We are adjourned. Thank you.